The gray wolf, also known as Canis lupus, is one of the wild animals that has had the most profound influence on human imagination and consciousness from ancient times to the modern era. With its thick fur, piercing eyes, and howls echoing through the night, the image of the gray wolf is not only a symbol of the wilderness but also a representation of pack life, discipline, and resilience, spread across the northern hemisphere, from the icy cold regions of the Arctic to the dense forests of Europe and the vast plains of North America. Gray wolves have adapted to various climates and terrains, demonstrating their extraordinary ability to survive and thrive. Gray wolves possess a particularly tight social structure. Unlike some other carnivores that live in solitude, wolves form packs with a clear hierarchy. Each pack usually consists of an alpha pair, along with their offspring and several other individuals. The alpha pair are not only the strongest but also serve as the coordinators and leaders of the group in hunting, migration, territorial defense, and raising pups. Cooperation within the pack allows gray wolves to take down prey much larger than any individual could handle alone, such as moose, caribou, or even bison. One of the traits that make gray wolves especially fascinating to humans is the way they communicate with each other. Unlike the monotonous sounds of many other animals, wolves have a rich language that includes howls, growls, barks, and a range of subtle body signals. A wolf's howl can echo for tens of kilometers, serving not only as a means of communication but also to mark territory, call for help, or warn of danger. Many reports have shown that each wolf has a unique howl, much like a human fingerprint, enabling pack members to recognize each other even in pitch darkness or when separated. More than just master hunters and social strategists, gray wolves play an extremely important role in maintaining the ecological balance of the environments they inhabit. In nature, herbivore populations tend to increase rapidly if there are no predators to regulate them. When the numbers of deer, elk, or rabbits grow excessively, they can devastate vegetation and degrade the habitats of many other species. The presence of wolves helps control this by targeting the weak, sick, or elderly, and by creating a cascading effect that alters the behavior of herbivores, changing how and where they graze. The story of the gray wolf's return to Yellowstone National Park in the U.S. is a prime example. After being absent for many years due to hunting and extermination by humans, wolves were reintroduced to the ecosystem in the 1990s. The results were remarkable. Not only did elk populations return to balance, but vegetation like willows and aspens recovered, leading to the return of birds, beavers, and countless other species. Ecologists have referred to this as a trophic cascade, where a single species can influence an entire biological network. Despite their ecological significance and remarkable intelligence, gray wolves have long been the subject of fear, misunderstanding, and human persecution. For centuries, wolves were considered dangerous enemies of rural communities, particularly in Europe, where folklore and religious beliefs portrayed them as demons or cursed creatures. Stories like Little Red Riding Hood or The Three Little Pigs reinforced these negative views. As a result, hundreds of thousands of wolves were hunted, poisoned, or trapped, causing severe population declines across many regions. In the U.S., before wildlife protection laws were implemented, bounties were offered for killing wolves, turning wolf hunting into a way of life for some. However, in recent decades, human attitudes toward wolves have changed significantly. Numerous conservation programs have been implemented globally to restore wolf populations and rebuild ecosystems that were once disrupted. Scientists have used GPS devices to track wolf movements and studied their behavior, genetics, and ecological impacts. Documentaries, scientific articles, and educational initiatives have helped the public gain a deeper understanding of the wolf's intelligence, family bonds, and complex personality. In some places, ecotourism tours are now organized to observe wolves in the wild, shifting the public perception of wolves from ruthless predators to essential components of the natural world. One of the most fascinating aspects of gray wolves is their reproductive life and how they raise their offspring. In a wolf pack, only the alpha pair, the dominant male and female, typically have the right to reproduce. This is a subtle biological strategy to ensure that the pack's resources are not dispersed and that the pups born receive the best possible care and protection. The breeding season usually occurs in late winter, from January to March, depending on the climate of each region. After mating, the female wolf carries her pregnancy for about 63 days and usually gives birth around April or May. When the weather becomes warmer and food sources are more abundant, ideal conditions for raising young lives. When preparing to give birth, the mother wolf retreats from the pack and finds a natural den, a secluded rock crevice, or may even dig a new den underground. This place becomes the nursery during the first few weeks of the pups' lives. Each litter generally consists of 4 to 6 pups, though the number can vary depending on the mother's health and the environmental conditions. Newborn pups are extremely fragile, blind, and completely dependent on their mother. During the first few weeks, they feed exclusively on milk and remain in the den, where the mother licks them clean, keeps them warm, and guards them against all external threats. What's especially touching is that the entire pack contributes to the care of these young ones. After the mother wolf is able to leave the den to hunt again, other members of the pack take turns guarding, playing with, and teaching the pups. They bring back food, chew it, and regurgitate it to feed the young, an act of affection, sharing, and parental instinct rarely seen in other wild animals. When the pups begin to open their eyes, take their first steps, and venture outside the den, it marks their initial encounter with the real world, a world full of both wonder and danger. From the 3rd month onward, the pups begin to join in short hunting trips, play together to practice their skills, and gradually learn the body language, howling, and the roles of each member in the pack. One reason gray wolves are so admired is their loyalty and deep bond among pack members. Many studies show that wolves have very strong emotions. They grieve the loss of a mate, miss separated packmates, and can display remarkable affection toward close companions. There are numerous reports of lone wolves traveling hundreds of kilometers just to reunite with a mate or return to their former pack. This strong social attachment allows humans to empathize with wolves and explains why they have become a symbol of loyalty in many ancient and modern cultures. However, the survival journey of gray wolves has never been easy. They face not only the harshness of nature but also threats from humans. For centuries, hunting, deforestation, industrial livestock farming, and urban development have drastically reduced wolf habitats. Once vast and wild forests have been fragmented by roads, farms, and settlements, leaving wolves with insufficient space to live and migrate. Many packs have become isolated, leading to reduced genetic diversity and diminished adaptability. Moreover, the occasional attacks on livestock cause wolves to continue being seen as enemies and ruthlessly exterminated. In some countries, governments have enacted laws to protect wolves, established wildlife reserves, and supported community-based conservation programs. Some even provide insurance compensation to farmers whose livestock is attacked by wolves, aiming to reduce tension and create conditions for peaceful coexistence. Nonetheless, many challenges remain. The boundaries between wild nature and urban areas are frequently the sites of human-wildlife conflict. Community education, raising awareness, and promoting sustainable ecotourism are becoming essential tools to shift public attitudes from fear and hostility to respect and protection. Gray wolves are not a single species but rather a complex group of subspecies spread across the globe. From the icy Arctic to arid deserts. For example, the Arctic wolf, a subspecies of the gray wolf, has thick, snow-white fur adapted to endure extreme sub-zero temperatures for months. In contrast, the coyote-like wolves living in the North American plains are smaller, with brownish-gray coats and impressive running speed. Each subspecies bears unique biological and behavioral traits that reflect their specific environments, from hunting techniques to communication methods, from social structures to maturation rates. This morphological and behavioral diversity makes gray wolves a model species for evolutionary biology, ethology, and conservation science. Researchers constantly seek to understand how a species with common ancestry could diversify into so many adaptive forms, and what makes wolves so resilient against the test of time, natural disasters, and human encroachment. As wolf pups mature over time, they enter a critical phase in their lives, the stage of dispersal and finding new territory. Not all pups leave their natal pack, but some individuals, especially the strong, curious, or those under pressure from a growing group size, will choose to depart. This journey is arduous. A young, lone wolf may have to traverse dozens or even hundreds of kilometers through wilderness, dense forests, open plains, and human-inhabited areas to find a place large and safe enough, free of signs of other wolves, a place to start a new life, find a mate, and establish its own pack. Along the way, many face hunger, predators, human traps, or aggression from other established wolves who view outsiders as direct threats to their territory and resources. Yet it is precisely this dispersal behavior that helps maintain genetic diversity within wolf populations. When a wolf leaves and mates with an individual from a different region, they create new gene lines, giving their offspring a better chance to inherit advantageous traits such as better health, environmental adaptability, or enhanced hunting skills. If wolves were to only breed within the same pack for generations, they would suffer from inbreeding, which diminishes the overall vitality of the population. Thus, despite its dangers, dispersal is one of the key evolutionary mechanisms that have enabled wolves to remain a thriving species for hundreds of thousands of years. The hunting behavior of gray wolves is also one of the aspects that never ceases to astonish researchers. Wolves do not simply charge at prey by instinct, they employ clear strategies similar to how humans conduct ambushes. When encountering large prey, such as an adult elk, the pack often forms a fan-shaped formation, assigning roles clearly. Some wolves approach from the side to distract. Others lie in wait, and there is always one leading the charge, usually the alpha or an experienced elder. In many cases, wolves do not kill their prey immediately but chase it for hours until it is exhausted before delivering the decisive blow. Their endurance, coordinated movement, and flexibility give them a much higher success rate than many other predators. More importantly, wolves do not always target the biggest or fattest prey, they often go after weak, injured, old, or young individuals, which helps maintain the overall health and balance of prey populations. Beyond their hunting skills, wolves also possess an exceptional memory for terrain. They can return precisely to locations where they once found food or water, remembering paths, human traps, or places of previous danger. Because of this, experienced elder wolves are often trusted to lead seasonal migrations or guide the pack during times of food scarcity. Some records show that wolf packs can travel hundreds of kilometers annually, traversing deep forests, high mountains, and glaciers in search of sustenance, only to return to previous locations months later as if carrying a living map etched in memory. In the study of social and emotional behavior in animals, gray wolves are frequently chosen as prime subjects due to the complexity of their pack structures. Unlike many carnivores that live solitary lives, wolves build their existence upon a communal spirit. They share food, assist injured members, protect pups, and even show deep emotional reactions when losing a pack mate. Researchers have witnessed wolves howling for hours after the death of a mate or close companion, refusing to eat for days, or becoming withdrawn and silent as though truly mourning. These behaviors challenge humans to view wolves as emotional beings, capable of love, sorrow, and remembrance. In addition to their biological and social lives, gray wolves hold a special place in the cultures and spiritual beliefs of many peoples around the world. For thousands of years, since humans lived as hunters and gatherers, the image of the wolf has appeared in cave paintings, legends, myths, and rituals as a powerful symbol. For Native Americans, wolves are not enemies but teachers and spiritual warriors. They believe wolves possess ancient wisdom, the ability to see through darkness, and a sacred connection to ancestral spirits. Wolves are considered spirit guides, helping humans rediscover their inner selves, live harmoniously with nature, and respect the laws of cosmic balance. In some ceremonies, indigenous people wear wolf masks and dance under the moon to seek protection or draw strength and courage from these creatures. In stark contrast, in medieval Europe, wolves were branded with dark and fearsome imagery. Folktales like Little Red Riding Hood, or the werewolf, cemented the belief that wolves embodied danger, darkness, and untamable instinct. Missionaries of the time often used the image of the wolf to symbolize evil, temptation, and rebellion. It was believed that those who lived immorally would, upon death, turn into wolves and wander eternally in the deep forests, unable to find peace. These legends, though fantastical, deeply influenced collective fear and led to relentless wolf hunting. Wolves were not only killed to protect livestock but also exterminated out of superstition and mass hysteria. However, over time, human perception gradually shifted, as fields like ecology, zoology, and behavioral psychology advanced. Serious research has provided a more accurate and compassionate portrayal of gray wolves. Rather than enemies, wolves are now understood as vital links in biological chains, beings with emotion, organization, and aesthetic value. In modern culture, especially in literature, film, and contemporary art, the image of the wolf has been reimagined in multifaceted ways. No longer merely a predator or symbol of fear, the wolf has come to represent the human psyche itself, lonely but proud, strong yet vulnerable, independent yet deeply connected to its community. One cannot overlook the powerful presence of wolves in today's entertainment industry. Films like The Grey, Alpha, or the popular TV series, Game of Thrones, with its giant direwolves have reignited primal emotions in audiences about a creature that is both mysterious and majestic. The echoing howl in the dark, glowing eyes under the moon, and sleek stride through ancient woods all serve as potent symbols of freedom and a fading memory of the wild world. Yet behind those artistic symbols lies the harsh reality of wolf survival. In the present day, the pressures they face have evolved from mere hunting or habitat loss into far more complex threats. Climate change, habitat disruption due to mining, highways, and over-tourism have severed the biological corridors wolves rely on. Regions once connected now lie fragmented by fences, waste, and noise. Wolves, creatures that require vast spaces, are now forced to adapt to shrinking habitats where their interactions with humans grow more complicated and difficult to manage. Numerous recent studies warn that without long-term conservation policies, coupled with community education and sustainable ecological planning, wolf populations in many regions may continue to decline significantly. In some areas, only a few dozen wolves remain, leading to severe genetic bottlenecks. Meanwhile, wolf restoration campaigns in countries like France, Germany, and the United States still face considerable opposition from local residents, particularly livestock farmers living near forest edges. The question is no longer, should we protect wolves? But rather, how can humans and wolves coexist in a world that is changing every day? One of the most hotly debated issues in wolf research and conservation is the relationship between wolves and humans in overlapping habitats. As the global population increases, humans expand settlements, build farms, infrastructure, and industrial zones deeper into forested and mountainous areas, territories that were once wolf domains. This not only destroys natural habitats but also creates direct conflicts between the two species. In many cases, wolves have been reported attacking livestock or pets on farms, causing economic losses for locals who then respond by setting traps, shooting, or poisoning them. However, the reality is that most of these incidents occur because wolves' natural habitats have been severely degraded, forcing them to seek alternative food sources near human settlements. The widespread misunderstanding that wolves frequently attack humans is another reason why their image has been distorted in public perception. In truth, wolf attacks on humans are extremely rare and usually happen only when wolves are cornered, severely injured, or rabid. Wolves have an instinctive fear of humans and will flee when they sense our presence. In fact, many researchers, photographers, and conservationists have spent years in the wild without ever encountering a wolf pack, due to the animal's extreme caution and intelligence. Therefore, a broad-scale public education campaign is needed to correct these misconceptions and emphasize that wolves are not threats, but vital components of the ecosystems we share. One effective solution proposed to reduce wolf-human conflict is the creation of biological corridors, protected strips of land that connect wolf habitats, allowing them to migrate safely without crossing into populated areas. Installing livestock protection fences, using guardian dogs, and tracking wolves with GPS collars are also practical measures to minimize confrontations. In some Northern European and North American countries, Governments offer financial compensation to people affected by wolf-related damages, while encouraging their participation in conservation, monitoring, and habitat restoration efforts. Notably, as human-wolf relationships improve, areas inhabited by wolves often become unique ecotourism destinations. Tourists come to hear the howls echo through the night, to spot wolf tracks in the snow, or simply to feel the intense, unseen presence of a creature long misunderstood. In Yellowstone, following the reintroduction of wolves, tourism surged, bringing economic benefits and spreading environmental awareness. This illustrates that wolves not only hold ecological value but can also serve as a bridge between modern humans and a vanishing wilderness. The recovery of wolves in many areas has also helped revive spiritual and cultural values that humans had once forgotten. Many indigenous communities are now restoring traditional rituals, recounting ancient legends about wolves, and teaching younger generations not only survival skills but also respect for all living beings sharing this planet. In their eyes, wolves are never enemies, they are friends, siblings, and symbols of courage and unyielding freedom. These values, passed down through words, paintings, or simply a howl echoing in the forest, continue to be shared across generations, like an eternal flame burning in the hearts of those who truly understand nature. When observing gray wolves in the wild, one is drawn not only to their haunting howls or hunting prowess but also to the deep bonds and silent sacrifices among pack members. Every wolf has a distinct role, and remarkably, they seem to understand their place within the system. There is no chaotic struggle for dominance when an alpha grows old or dies. Another steps in, not through solitary combat, but through a process of testing, adapting, and ultimately earning the pack's recognition. This makes the wolf's social structure both flexible and stable, like a team led by respect rather than fear. Emotional interaction among wolves is also vividly apparent. There are documented instances of elderly, toothless wolves no longer able to hunt being fed and cared for by the pack. Such wolves survive many more winters solely due to the group's support. Orphaned pups have been raised by the entire pack as if they were everyone's children. These stories are not just sentimental, they are living proof that wolves are not solitary, ruthless, or withdrawn creatures as often stereotyped. Instead, they are emblems of a community that knows how to share, shoulder responsibility, and love in its own instinctive way. This aspect makes the wolf a kind of wild mirror in which humans can reflect upon themselves. Many philosophers, writers, and nature lovers have noted that modern humans, amid industrialization and rapid urbanization, are gradually losing true connection to community, nature, and their primal selves. Meanwhile, the wolf pack, living deep in cold forests, still maintains strong intergenerational ties. A balance between individual and group, between living for oneself and living for others. This inspires in many a longing to return, not to primitive times, but to the foundational values we have forgotten: loyalty, communal spirit, and survival instinct intertwined with compassion. Moreover, wolves are astonishingly adaptable creatures. They continuously adjust their hunting habits, activity schedules, home ranges, and communication methods to cope with climate change, human pressure, and shifting ecosystems. In some regions, wolves have become more nocturnal to avoid human interaction. In others, they have learned to catch fish instead of relying solely on deer. These small behavioral shifts, accumulated over time, have allowed wolves to endure and evolve across hundreds of thousands of years, a clear testament to nature's relentless evolutionary power. Today, modern technology offers new opportunities to understand wolves without harming them. GPS trackers, thermal cameras, drones, and biological sensors have enabled scientists to monitor their movements, habits, and physiological responses across various environments. The data gathered is not only scientifically valuable but also crucial for shaping smarter, more flexible, and locally relevant conservation policies. Notably, these tools help create individual stories about specific wolves, a form of positive humanization that helps local communities feel more connected to, less fearful of, and more supportive of wolf conservation efforts. The proud existence of gray wolves. Despite enduring hundreds of generations, continues to confront the harsh upheavals of our time. As modernization spreads, the role of wolves grows increasingly fragile in the current of unchecked development. Yet, it is precisely during these crises that wolves have become powerful symbols in the movement of ecological humanism, a philosophical wave that emphasizes respect for and protection of the equal right to life of all beings. Numerous writers, artists, filmmakers, and even social activists have used the image of the wolf as a spiritual emblem of resistance against the coldness of industrialized society, and as a longing to return to a life in harmony with nature, where humans are not the center but merely a part of the vast, sacred web of life. It is difficult to fully capture the wonder of wolves through statistics or dry research alone. For wolves are more than just creatures, they are the soul of the deep forest. Symbols of resilience, endurance, and silent wisdom, each piercing howl into the night is not merely a call to the pack but an ancient symphony echoing from a time before humans, when life was defined by unspoiled wilderness. That howl still echoes today, cutting through concrete and city noise, reminding us that part of this world remains unforgotten, a part that needs protecting before it disappears forever. On a deeper level, the image of the wolf serves as a mirror to the modern human psyche. When we look into a wolf's eyes, we see not only wildness but understanding. As we watch them run through the mist, we glimpse the yearning for freedom that humanity is steadily losing. And when we witness how they protect their young and share their last bite with an aging companion, we realize that compassion, empathy, and responsibility are not exclusively human traits, they're universal, found in all creatures, if we choose to see with respect. The world of wolves, one governed by instinct, natural order, and pure emotion, is a counterbalance to the chaos of human society today. Listening to the wolf's story is like being reminded that we, too, were once wild beings who knew how to live with the wind, the earth, the rain, and the grass. Perhaps what we need most now is not to teach wolves to adapt to humans, but to learn from wolves how to return to our truest selves, authentic, humble, and deeply connected to the life around us. When scientists began analyzing the DNA of gray wolves from various regions, a complex and surprising genetic picture emerged. Though collectively labeled under the scientific name Canis lupus, gray wolves actually exist as multiple subspecies, each bearing unique evolutionary imprints shaped by their specific terrain, climate, and living conditions. For example, North American prairie wolves are smaller and more agile, preying primarily on small animals like rabbits, grouse, or squirrels. In contrast, Arctic wolves have thick white coats, exceptional cold resistance, and often hunt in large packs to take down massive prey such as musk oxen or caribou. Fascinatingly, over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, many wolf populations have naturally interbred with other Canis species, such as red wolves, Ethiopian wolves, or even domestic dogs, descendants of ancient wolves domesticated by humans. These findings not only reshape the phylogenetic tree of carnivores but also help humans recognize their deep biological connection to the wild. When we understand that the loyal dogs in our homes today are the descendants of fierce survivors of ice ages, wars, and extinction, we can't help but see that our existence, no matter how advanced, is still intimately tied to nature in a primal, almost mystical way. Hybridization between wolves and domestic dogs didn't only happen in the past, it continues today in various parts of the world, especially near forests or semi-wild areas where humans live. These hybrid wolves often exhibit atypical appearances and behaviors. They may look like wolves but behave as sociable and approachable as dogs, or vice versa. This creates challenges in conservation and research, as it blurs the lines between pure and mixed species, complicating efforts to devise genetic strategies and restore authentic wolf populations. Yet, within this blending, nature again reveals its adaptability. Many hybrid wolf populations exhibit greater survivability in human-impacted environments. They may be less afraid of noise, move through settlements without panic, or scavenge leftover food from humans. This raises a major question in the research community. In the future, will the image of the wolf remain pure as it once was? Or will it gradually transform into an intermediate being, neither entirely wild nor fully domesticated? That question has no clear answer. But what is certain is that humans cannot separate themselves from responsibility for the fate of wolves, and, more broadly, for all life on Earth. What we choose today, protection or neglect, coexistence or exclusion, will shape the world of tomorrow. And if the gray wolf, a creature long misunderstood and mercilessly hunted, can still survive, adapt, and howl into the night as part of life's vital symphony, then that is the clearest evidence of life's resilience, and a reminder that we still have time to change. To relearn how to live with rather than over other species. If there is one thing that sets gray wolves apart from most other carnivores, it is their remarkable ability to combine wild instinct with strategic organization. Nearly akin to human planning. Unlike solitary predators that rely solely on physical strength or speed to bring down prey, wolves use collective intelligence and group coordination to achieve maximum efficiency with minimal risk. In rare observations, researchers have witnessed a pack of wolves spending hours to corner and exhaust a full-grown elk. They don't rush in recklessly, but patiently push the prey into a vulnerable position, gradually isolating it from its herd, disorienting and tiring it. Only when all conditions align do they strike a precise, clean, and effective kill. This tactic is not a product of blind instinct but a sign that wolves are observant, deliberate, and capable of context-based decision-making. The sophistication of wolves is also reflected in their communication. Each individual is not merely reacting emotionally in the moment, but is part of an interconnected information system with the rest of the pack. Using body language, facial expressions, and a variety of sounds such as growls, whines, or howls, wolves convey warnings, encouragement, reminders, and even comfort. These behaviors, which seem reserved for advanced social animals like primates, occur naturally and consistently in wolf life within the deep forest. Beyond hunting and daily activities, the wolf's sense of responsibility is another trait that earns them admiration. An injured wolf is not abandoned. A mother who loses her milk supply receives help from others in raising her pups. An elderly wolf, unable to hunt, is still given its share when the pack returns with food. These actions do not stem from calculated reasoning but from a natural social mechanism where each member understands that the survival of one individual is tied to the survival of the group. For this reason, the gray wolf is not only a symbol of strength but also a model of connection, sharing, and loyalty, values that modern humans sometimes lose in the fast-paced flow of material life. When humans begin to see wolves not as enemies but as companions, a new door opens between two worlds. It is not about domestication or asserting dominance of one species over another, but a process of mutual learning. Humans may teach wolves about the boundaries of shared space, while wolves teach us how to live in a group without losing individuality. In this light, the forest ceases to be a place of lurking threats and becomes a space of learning, where howls are not alarm bells but invitations to rediscover the original values of life. As the setting sun casts shifting beams through thick canopy and fallen leaves, one may hear in the distance a haunting howl, deep, sustained, and carrying the forest's whisper. It is the call of the gray wolf, a creature both revered and feared, understood and misunderstood. Throughout our shared history, from the snow-capped Arctic peaks to the endless grasslands, from indigenous legends to modern genetic research, the gray wolf endures as a complex symbol of instinct, intelligence, and the deep bond between humans and nature. In an age where ecosystems are damaged, biodiversity is waning, and the gap between people and nature widens, understanding wolves, beyond biology, as a life philosophy, becomes more important than ever. Wolves teach us resilience in adversity, the value of community, loyalty to what we love, and above all, the balance between freedom and responsibility. They do not live alone, but they do not lose their individuality. They do not conquer nature but merge with it as a natural part. When they howl in the night, it is not just a call to their kind, but a wake-up cry for human souls lost in a fragmented, chaotic world. One day, perhaps, when the last forests have no more room for wolves to run, and the skies no longer echo with their familiar howls, humanity will truly feel the void they leave behind. But perhaps, if we can still pause, reflect, and learn to live in harmony, the howls will continue to echo. Not only in the wilderness, but in the hearts of those who still believe in the sacred connection among all living things. And so, the journey of the gray wolf, from myth to reality, from misunderstanding to deep understanding, is not merely the story of a species, but a symphony of human nature itself. In this symphony, each howl is a note, each paw print a message, and each deep gaze from wolf eyes a quiet question posed to the world of humankind. Do you remember where you came from?